The Pistons are going to bring it to their Eastern Conference rival. Today's road game, we are in Indiana for some Pacers basketball. This hometown crowd ready to go. Welcome to our 2K Sports broadcast. Kevin Harlan here with Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg, bringing you the NBA on a Monday afternoon. And now the opening lineup for Detroit. Rip Hamilton out there with Chauncey Billups. Then there's Tayshaun Prince. Then there's Wallace. And it's Wallace in at the 4. And for Indiana, Jermaine O'Neal out there with Steven Jackson. Then it's Miller. Then there's Artest and Tinsley.
And for the Pistons, like a lot of young teams, it was a real struggle last season on the road. In fact, they only won 9 times away from their home building.
And it's going to be the Pacers off the tip. Now here's Jackson. Leads him in there. And the jam by Jermaine O'Neal.
A true power dunk, Kev. I thought he might squeeze the air out of the ball on that one.
Well, when he gets it near the basket, you know where he's headed.
And he's going fast and with force.
Now here's Wallace. Rebounded by Jackson. And it's Indiana's ball. Feeds to Artest. Goes up. It's good. The assist this time from Jackson. Steve, going back to those 9 wins on the road for Detroit you just talked about, Clark, just not a pretty sight when they traveled away from the Motor City.
Well, the issue for Detroit was offensively. They just didn't have any kind of consistency or continuity. I mean, they could not successfully put together strong offensive showings, especially on the road. And I think you've got to score better on the road than you do at home. I think typically you play a little better defensively at home. On the road, you've got to be ready to score the ball.
And let's get this update now from Doris Burke, who's across the way on the sideline.
Kevin, I had a chance to talk to head coach Rick Carlisle. I asked him what's pleased him most about his team coming into this game, and he mentioned their heads-up play at the offensive end. We've really come together as a unit. All my guys have been working with each other so well, and we hope that continues tonight. We'll see, guys.
Good report, Doris. Well said. Thanks. An interesting thing to address before the game.
Yeah, you know, the priority of most coaches is not shooting. I mean, that's really way down the priority list in terms of what a coach might talk about.
Steve?
Well, you don't want to focus on makes and misses because that puts pressure on the players. But clearly, you got to put the ball in the hoop. And I think tonight, making shots from the outside is going to be really key.
Now, here is O'Neal, and the layup is up and in. O'Neal's got his second bucket.
And I like his aggressiveness going to the hoop using that height advantage.
Well, Jermaine O'Neal only played in 26 regular season games for the Celtics last year, and it makes you wonder, you know, how much does he have left, because he certainly has had some knee trouble recently.
And they call over the back here, too much contact.
He was climbing all over the defender on that one, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, a pretty easy over-the-back call right there, partner.
It's Rip Hamilton on the wing, covered by Artest. Nice shot by Hamilton. Clark, you know, you mentioned J.O. He can still contribute, but he has to remain healthy, which, well, Steve, has been a problem for him.
Boy, 15 years in the league, and it's taken its toll on Jermaine O'Neal, but we did see him after missing most of the regular season for Boston last year. We saw him be a major force in that New York series in the first round for the Celtics.
Here's Billups. Outside Prince. Here's the screen. He couldn't stay in bounds. And that's going to be a turnover.
He just lost track of where he was on the floor.
Indiana leading.
Well, the Pacers handled themselves pretty well against the Eastern Conference last season, 28-24. And they seem to be a team on the rise. They've got a lot of young talent. And having made the playoffs last season, they're hoping for more this year.
So it's Indiana now, following the bucket by the Pistons. Goes straight up, and 2 free throws coming up as he misses that one. Drawing the whistle and a lot of contact there. And for the Pacers last season, finishing 4 games under 500, but they are an ascending ball club as they made the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, they're building it the right way, too. Larry Bird and David Morway putting some pieces together. A nice core group of young, hard-working, talented players. Now you just, with some salary cap room there, perhaps you can add a piece or two to elevate your talent base and your experience level. Being patient, not taking shortcuts. They're headed in the right direction.
Good place to play.
Yeah. You know, you take the Bulls out of the equation, and the Pistons actually had a good year in the Central Division games last season.
So for the Pistons, 7-9 in their division, but 4 of those losses came to Chicago, Steve. They were swept by the Bulls.
Well, not a very strong division. Obviously, the Bulls really a good team. Everybody else under 500. So Chicago ran away with that division, but at least Detroit was competitive with their other division rivals.
Our test, good. Here's Billups, still looking to get on the scoreboard. Jackson against Wallace, and easy 2 points on the layup.
Everything is working for him right now. He's been a huge factor in the quarter.
Miller outside. Now Hamilton defending. Outside Jackson. Some good ball movement here. They get it back. O'Neal inside. Wallace on him. Here's Jackson. Off target with his 3. O'Neal gets called for the reach. That's his first foul of the game, and the bonus will go to the free throw line.
Well, Tayshaun Prince was once a lockdown defender, but he's sustained some back injuries over time, and that's slowed him down a little bit, but he's still a very effective player.
And he can't hit the second. Talking about Prince, even those injuries you mentioned, he still has that incredible reach working for him defensively.
Well, the wingspan of a condor, I call it. And clearly that is always going to be there. It's not going away. He may get a little slower, but he will always be long, and that's a useful attribute to have defensively.
Miller dishes to Jackson.
That's good defense. Don't let a guy get a lay-in, foul hard, and send him to the free throw line.
Yeah, I like that billboard there. Sending a message. You can't come in here and get anything free in our paint.
That one misses, so he goes 1 for 2. Now Prince. Here's Billups. Basket good. Billups has got his second basket.
He's so graceful around the rim. Sometimes you forget how strong he is.
Tinsley. The shot misses. No shortage of scoring here at the end of the first. Now the second quarter getting ready to start up. And here are the Pistons now. They lead by 4.
Well, you look at this Pacers roster, a nice young blend of talent and size, some versatility. They had the flexibility this past summer to add some other nice players. So this team seems to be on the rise.
All fueled up and ready to go. Let's reset the lineups, courtesy of Gatorade, as the second quarter gets going. On the court for the Pistons, they've got McDyess. He's out there with Darko Milicic, and it's Arroyo in at the point.
He anticipated the kick out and came up with the steal.
That's how it works. Your defense feeds into the offense.
Yeah, you know, excellent work, I thought. Solid work on both ends in that particular sequence.
So the Pacers call timeout, their first of the game. And you know, as Steve was just saying about the youth and options for this Indiana team, we were already able to see some of that impact in last year's playoffs.
And that was so important, Kevin, for the team to get to the playoffs, to be able to show the fans that passionate, hard work and competitive spirit and promise of the young players. And I think for the fans, it was a case of everybody starting to see that there's new hope in store for the Indiana Pacers going forward.
It's Chauncey Billups with the rebound.
Oh, he knows that one should have gone in. That hurts.
Let's go now to the sideline and catch up with Doris Burke. Hey, Doris.
Hi, guys. Well, J.R. Smith, a free agent going into this season and now on a new team. His former coaches in Denver had their critiques of his mental approach, but Smith still got onto the floor with his athleticism and offensive gifts. Smith now in a new environment. We'll see how he does.
Plenty of talent, that's for sure. Thank you, Doris.
And Smith, you know, going into his 8th season now, but still a really young guy, only 26 years old. He's got a lot of basketball left.
I don't mind that shot, though. He's an excellent three-point shooter. He's just showing a lot of confidence there.
I'm right with you there, Steve. I mean, let it flow when you're feeling it.
Tipped and stolen by Wallace. Pistons leading by 5. Here's Hamilton. The basket good off the assist from Billups. Hamilton's got 8 points. Now the Pacers with it. They trail by 7. O'Neal passes to Artest. And again, it's the Pacers from deep.
What a marvelous job they've done of sharing the basketball. A ton of assists.
Well, they know where each other is all the time. They're moving the ball, just finding the open guy. Nobody seems to care who scores.
Takes it up, and Billups gets it to go. Six points for him.
Kevin, great finish on the low block. I love it.
Here's Tinsley, looking for his first bucket of the game.
You know, Kevin, one of the things that's sometimes overlooked with Billups, he's strong at 6'3" and 200 pounds plus, but he's an excellent low post player for a guard.
Fires from deep, and it's Miller missing.
I like the defense, guys, really getting a hand up and challenging shots.
Yeah, Steve, lurking on that shot, and that was a tough one.
Pacers trail by 6. And Clark, you talk about Billups' great post-up ability. He may be slowing down with age, but Steve, that post-up game of his is timeless.
Yeah, 6'3", as Clark mentioned, a really strong body. And he's got good footwork, great touch, just a good knack for scoring. He's one of the better post-up point guards in the NBA today.
And the Pistons decide to take their first timeout right here.
Well, you remember these two teams years ago had a pretty healthy rivalry, Detroit and Indiana. And last season, it was pretty even. They split. Four games.
The Pistons making a switch here. McDyess is checked in. Here is Billups. He's got 6. Still, though, you know, Clark, if you're a Pistons fan, you hate to see the Pacers, a rival, in the playoffs while you're sitting at home.
Well, for Detroit, it must have been nice watching them get eliminated early by the Bulls, the Pacers did. But they'd much prefer to be in the playoffs and a team doing the eliminating rather than just watching it. But they're a long way from, I think, being a playoff team based on what the roster looks like right now.
Who is the Pacers' biggest rival, Chicago or Detroit? Hard to say.
It really is. I mean, you know, going back to the successful years of the Pacers from the mid-'90s to early 2000s, it was both. It was at different times. Initially, it was the Bulls, and then in that early 2000s period, it probably was Detroit.
And we know about the Knicks.
Yeah, well, that goes back to the early
exactly.
mid-'90s. Yeah, so exactly. I think it was probably Detroit most recently.
Yes. Now here's Billups. Steven Jackson covering. And that's good. Chauncey Billups for 3. Billups has got 5 points now this quarter.
And that's his first three-pointer, so maybe that one will get him started.
Out to Miller. Back to Artest. Moving it around nicely. And stolen by Billups.
He did what he could to try to handle that pass, but that was too hard to handle. Old school, old-fashioned, one-hand power jam.
Just like you, Clark. Tried and true.
Hey, that's all he needed to do. Just taking care of business out there. I like that. Run to the three-point line, find a wide-open shot.
Left side, Billups. And the rebound goes to the Pacers.
Solid advantage in the rebounding totals for them so far here.
You know, in every game, but particularly in a close game, every little advantage you can use helps, and they're certainly enjoying one on the glass here.
Tries again, and it's Miller missing.
That is some tough defense there, fellas. I mean, he definitely affected the release.
Yeah, you could see him have to alter his shooting motion just a little bit. Well, the Pacers historically have always been tough on their home court, and last season was no different. 24-17 in Indianapolis. It's one of the reasons the Pacers made the playoffs.
That's good from Hamilton. Well, Clark, you know all about this Indiana team being in their front office. Dead last in attendance last season, averaging just a little over 13,000 fans, but the team gave the diehard fans something to care about with the playoff experience.
Yeah, they certainly did, and hopefully that'll catapult more fans into coming back to Conseco. In 2001, the team averaged almost 18,000 fans. If the team gets back to contention, you know Indiana loves basketball, and those fans will be back.
And it's Artest missing. Pistons leading by 7.
And they'll slow it down, use a little clock.
Good call, partner. Hold it for the final one.
Miller kicks to Jackson. The feather touch on the finger roll. Beautiful.
Good defense, but you gotta love the finish with the finger roll over the top.
Here comes Chauncey Billups. 9 points in the game so far. Here's Wallace. And yes, a nice assist from Billups. Billups has got his 5th assist in this one. Here's Jackson. The shot no good. And that does it for the first half of play.
It's been a good one for Hamilton. He has 12 points and 2 assists. You talk about being on, he's been it. Not even one missed shot so far.
Yeah, this is superhuman stuff we're seeing right now.
The Pistons on top. They're up by 7.
And it's been a great basketball game going on in Indianapolis. Now time for HP at the half. The Pistons off to a good start. Defensively, they're aggressive, taking every opportunity to force a turnover. Chauncey Billups has been locked in so far. He's got 9 points and the defense has been rock solid. And no shortage of desire from the Pacers side of things. They're putting forth an all-out offensive effort on the glass. Jermaine O'Neal has come up big for him. He's picked up half a dozen points and digging in on defense as well, putting in good work on both ends of the floor. And a couple of guys here came to play for their respective teams. We'll try and both keep it going in the third. And that'll wrap it up here. Now, back to Kevin Harlan and the crew for the second half.
And the third quarter about ready to get underway. Here is Billups. They've got Miller. Artest is out there with Steven Jackson. Then it's Jones. And it's O'Neal in at the center. So that's the group out there for Indiana. Stolen by Jackson.
He really didn't have the room there to make that pass, guys.
Here's Miller. Misses the 3. Pistons leading by 7. Tries to save it out of bounds. And they'll keep possession. Here's Billups. Back to Wallace. Nice shot by Wallace. Wallace has got the first points of the third quarter up on the board for the Pistons. Jones dishes to O'Neal. Jones, no luck. Clark, they could stretch the lead to double digits.
Yeah, which would obviously put them in a very comfortable spot. You know, for the Pacers last season, it was encouraging for them to make the playoffs, but it can't obscure the hard work that's still left ahead. I mean, they only won 37 games in the regular season. They would have needed 9 or 10 more wins to make the playoffs in the West, so they've still got a ways to go.
The Pacers making a switch here. Tinsley's checked in. Backing down is Wallace. 6 on the shot clock. Over Jackson. Wallace's shot is good. Wallace has got 13 points. Clark, you mentioned the 37 wins. That was 25 less than the Chicago Bulls team they faced in the first round.
Sure was, yeah.
Steve?
Well, even with that said, Kevin, it was a very competitive series. It went 5 games, but every single game went down in the stretch.
Billups from outside, and it's Miller with the rebound.
Well-contested shot, and they did an excellent job of not fouling the shooter.
Defense is about effort and commitment and discipline. He's a good defender because of those things.
Now, here is O'Neal. He has 6. Outside for our test. Here's Billups. 8-point game.
Ron Artest, one of the most interesting players in the league. How about a couple of years ago when the Lakers won the title, and afterwards he thanked his therapist in the post-game press conference.
Hamilton. Nice shot from the wing. Hamilton's got 14 points for the game.
Well, they've got to do something defensively because he's been unstoppable.
And defensively, Steve, your only choice now is to double him. I mean, I don't think there's another option.
And Steve, Ron, it was different. I agree with you. Ron Artest has really been outspoken. Clark, about how therapy has made a difference in our life. We can kind of smirk about it, but you know what? That's an important thing for him and for millions of Americans.
It really is, Kevin. I can't overstate it. The fact that the stigma that's been attached to counseling and therapy, mental health therapy, is starting to be removed, and Ron Artest has had a huge role in that, especially in the athletic arena. And that's extremely important because of the stresses that all people face in day-to-day life, but particularly professional athletes and NBA players. So his willingness to step out front, it wasn't comfortable for him.
No.
But he understood the impact it could have, and my hat's off to him for that. That's a huge, huge step in an area that has benefited from that kind of positive attention.
Well, Chauncey Billups, a very productive season a year ago. He's not the player he once was. He's still a guy who will step out, take a big shot, run his team well, and show great leadership.
He goes up.
Wallace taking 2 shots.
And he makes the first. He's perfect from the line this time. Here's Tinsley. Still looking to get on the scoreboard. Here's Miller. And the 3 ball is good. You're right, Steve. Billups did show leadership, and he did deal with some injury issues last season, too. Some torn ligaments in his wrist, Clark, an injured knee in the playoffs. The injuries did slow him down.
Yeah, and a lot of people would make the automatic jump that because he was injured and he's getting older, that those two things are connected, and going forward you got to worry about it. Sure, you got to consider his age, but he's a great shooter. He's a terrific leader. He's a championship caliber player. And if he's healthy, he's still got some really good basketball left in him because, again, he's one of those guys whose game isn't predicated on overwhelming athleticism. It's about smarts, toughness, skill, and if your body's good, you can play that game a long time.
Detroit's play against the rest of the East was about as good as you could expect when you look at their overall record.
Clark, going back to the Pistons, 22-30 against the East last year.
Well, they've been the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference for so long that it's probably tough for Pistons fans to have to go through this lull. They're in a rebuilding stretch, no question about it. They are in a stage now where they've got to find some young talent and try to reload here.
Here's Tinsley. Plenty of daylight on that shot. They got on this roll a while ago, and they just haven't looked back.
Another open look hits bottom from outside.
Yep, and that's 3 of their last 5 makes from beyond the arc.
And the Pistons decide to take their first timeout right here.
And coach doesn't look pleased at all. He's going to try to iron things out.
And here is Billups. 12 points for him. Back to Wallace. Hamilton outside. Wallace with the screen on Miller. Fires from the wing. Good. Hamilton's got 16 points.
Boy, he's been so dependable here this game, really playing well offensively.
Tinsley with the bucket.
He's just filling the stat sheet. I mean, what hasn't he done out there today?
Well, Steve, you know what we call a guy who fills the stat sheet, don't you? He is a stat sheet stuffer supreme.
Billups kicks to Wallace. They're working it around. Nice shot by Hamilton.
He's got such a good feel for his shot today, in a really good groove.
Now Tinsley. He's got 5. Miller, right side. Shoots the 3. No good, trying to beat the buzzer. And as we end the third quarter, while we're still getting underway here in the fourth, let's go down to Doris Burke, who has our Sprite Spark of the Game report. Doris?
Well, Kevin, our spark of the game in this one, the stretch by the Pistons. They came out of the gates with an airtight defense, and that is what pushed them out in front. If they can end the game how they started, they'll come away with the win, Kevin.
Thank you, Doris. They made a statement with that big run, Clark.
They sure did. I mean, actually, this team has what I like to call spurtability.
Clark, that's becoming one of our trademarks right now.
Without question.
We're all over it.
One of the great basketball words out there.
And Clark, I think the defense was sort of shell-shocked by that spurtability. They were reeling.
On the floor for Detroit, you've got Chauncey Billups. Wallace is out there with Wallace. Then there's Richard Hamilton, and it's Prince in at small forward. Now Jackson, following Billups' three-point attempt, and stolen by Wallace. He kicks to Wallace. And now, here's the Sprite Slam Cam replay.
There's no stopping him when he gets to the basket like that. If you can't foul him in time, just get out of the way.
Jackson passes to Miller. Over Hamilton, and it's Miller missing.
I don't like his body language, guys, right now. He looks like he's completely out of rhythm.
Billups against Artest. Hamilton outside. Wallace dishes to Hamilton. Just 5 on the clock. Gathers. Goes up and lays it nice and easy. Hamilton's got 20 points.
They continue to barrel their way inside, and when's the defense going to adjust?
Well, I'm asking the same question myself, partner. I mean, that's 8 points out of their last 10 coming inside.
Yeah, easy bucket for him there.
And finish he did. Took it hard to the rim.
Hamilton against Miller. The open shot from Jackson nails the wide open jump shot.
We've seen some great shooting from him today. They've got to lean on him a little bit more.
Pistons leading by 10. Hamilton outside. Ring shot on the way. Again, the Pistons good for 2.
You know, when he plays well, generally the team does too, and it's exactly what we're seeing here today.
And O'Neal gets it to go.
Oh, Maestro, he is so good at making those lead passes, like conducting an orchestra.
Takes it up. Here's Billups, and it's blocked. Jackson with it, and they're moving it up, and stolen by Wallace. Artest is tagged with the reach. That's his 3rd foul of the game. Time called here. The Pistons decide to talk it over.
He's been locked in from deep. They're giving him too much breathing room and definitely paying the price for it.
All right, let's go over to the sideline with Doris Burke.
Well, Kevin, head coach of the Pistons had some words for his team over the break. His message was this: all of us know these guys are capable of exploding and putting up points in a hurry, so I don't want to see anybody letting up until that final whistle blows. Guys, back to you.
Shot clock at 6. Here's Hamilton. Misses the 3, and he used the pump fake well there, but he couldn't capitalize. Here's Miller. No good with the triple.
Looks like he's just trying to shoot his way out of this cold spell, but I don't know about that shot attempt.
Stepped in the line, out of bounds there, and that will cost them the possession. Here's Tinsley. He's guarded by Billups. Back to Jackson. Hands it from downtown. Jackson's got 7 points for the quarter.
Now, these wide open threes have been their undoing. You have to locate shooters and get a hand up.
Yep, you do, Steve. And even if it means having their assigned defenders stand at home on 3-point shooters, I mean, that would be a worthwhile strategy to pursue because you don't want to give good shooters open threes.
Artest is whistled for reaching in. That will get him his 4th foul of the game. Now Billups. And the rejection by O'Neal. Out of bounds. And they retain possession. We've got 1:18 left in the 4th quarter. Wallace inside. Guarded by Jackson. And that one's good. Wallace has got 14 points here in the 2nd half.
They're taking it to the hoop strong now, getting a lot of points in the paint.
And, Steve, I love it. I mean, I like to see guys attacking the rim and taking it to the paint. It's fun basketball to watch. It's not for the faint of heart, though. You got to be a man to go in there strong.
jumps up, and he was fouled on the way up. 2 free throws now for him. Sinks the first one, and that makes it a 7-point lead. 2 for 2, and it's an 8-point ball game. Timeout called the Pacers. They trail by 8. 56 seconds left in the fourth quarter. .56 seconds left here in the fourth quarter. And it's Miller missing.
Shooting-wise, he's having a tough quarter. I mean, he just seems to have gone cold. Can't find the basket.
Stolen by Artest. It's 2-on-1. Gives him the lead pass. Miller finished off the break.
He put that lead pass in perfect position for his teammate.
And here are the Pistons now. The biggest lead of the game, 15 points. Wallace's shot is good, and the Pistons lead by 8.
And they add to this lead, trying to close this game out.
I think it would take a lot of luck and maybe then some. I mean, might be time to pack this thing in.
Timeout called the Pacers. They're down by 8. 34 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Here's Tinsley. Back to Artest. Good ball movement. Miller outside. Shot is off. Hamilton with some nice D. And it's Detroit's ball. 8-point game. Miller against Billups. Artest gets the reach-in call. That'll be foul number 5 on him, and due to the bonus, will be headed to the free throw line. Good on the first, and that'll give him a 9-point lead.
2 shots.
And so he makes both from the line.
And that'll do it, Kevin. Those last free throws were the icing on the cake.
Deflects the pass, and stolen by Wallace.
Well, that was just a heave down court. I don't like their chances.
And that's an intentional foul.
And they continue to foul, but this one's pretty much over.
Yeah, they're just extending this. We need running time in effect here, Steve.
That free throw good from Billups.
Taking 2 shots.
And good on the second, so he makes them both. Here's Miller. Bucket's good. And so the Pistons take the win. They came, they saw, they conquered.
Hey, Kevin, to me, any win is a good win.
That about does it for Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke, and the rest of our great crew. This is Kevin Harlan saying so long and thanks for watching. Now, here is our Jordan Player of the Game.